there's a microphone right there to catch the last gurgles, and Technicolor to photograph the red swollen tongue.
Hey, Vern.
Future events such as these
Anglin
will affect you in the future.
Damn you, Rabbit! You smell like fucking piss!
You're watching The Projectors.
Hell yeah!
A film fan program discussing a variety of movies from history and around the world.
What do you think of this boner I got?
Featuring your hosts, Bob Sham.
When you're Scandinavian, flopping out your mommy milkers is nothing.
And Angela.
If they were just gun perverts, this would be fine.
Party!
Thank you for selecting The Projectors.
I want French pancakes like at IHOP.
And now a preview of our film discussion.
This is a true story that happened in my town. So this one Wednesday is like a normal day for the whole school. But today was different. Every other class had all their kids. But Mrs. Gandy's room was totally empty. And you know why? Because the night before, at 2:17 in the morning, every kid woke up, got out of bed, walked downstairs, and into the dark. And they never came back.
I don't understand at all. Why just her classroom? Why only hers?
Where are our children?
We have a lot of emotional parents here. I think it's best if you keep some distance from this place.
Matthew, where are you? Where did you go?
This is where the story really starts.
Hey, folks, how's it going? We're back again.
We're back!
We're back.
I didn't get contacts. I was just cleaning my glasses.
Everyone was wondering.
I know, I'm sure. Because everyone watches this on YouTube,
Look
right?
how glowy you are.
I am so pale. I've always been pale. But we do have a little bit of a different setup. And I'm glowing.
And you can see the arcade that I wasted money on in the background with the Twin Peaks. Oh, shit, look.
Oh, look, we got a kitten.
We got a kitten. I knew it would just show up.
This is Frankie.
You can look on YouTube and see Frankie, the little gray kitten, with her wonky eye.
Oh! She doesn't meow very much, so that was very exciting. I hope you all could hear that.
But yeah, it's the projectors are back, and we actually are going to. I have started posting our old Documentaires episodes once a week going forward. And I haven't re-listened to any but the first episode, and I'm an intro into a couple of them, and I'm like, ugh, why am I saying all this shit?
I've listened to a couple.
I'm really cheesy in the Documentaires days.
You are. I listened to the first one as well. I also listened to the first one that you and I did together. And while they're cheesy, I don't think they're that bad. I think they're fun, and it was us a decade ago. Who else? I mean, I feel really lucky to be able to go back and listen to us a decade ago.
In some ways, I mean, in some ways I'm the same, but in some ways I'm very different than I was back then. So, but look, you're actually going to have 2 fresh drops 2 weeks in a row, because this is dropping and because we're going to talk about all these movies we saw in the theater over the past 2-3 months since our last recording. But next week, which is way delayed, we're doing our Movies Are Gay 3, where we talk about 6 movies adjacent to the LGBTQ world, right? We got a lot to talk about, so let's just get into it. We'll start off with the movie of the summer for sure, and one that has really kind of grabbed onto people And this is a movie by Zach Kreger called Weapons. And everyone who seems to see this movie likes it. And I'm no exception. I really, really enjoyed Weapons. And it seems like this crowd-pleasing horror movie. And it's interesting to see how it's taking hold of people because we're also going to talk about an Ari Aster movie, Eddington, later. With Zach Kreger, he did Barbarian, which I think the ending was just okay, but the setup to all that is excellent. Like, very,
Chef's
very
kiss.
good. You really have to make horror movies to even get movies made. Like, it's through the horror genre that independent directors with creative ideas are able to get a movie out there and people will go see it, which is cool how you can play the game if you're good at that. But it kind of sucks, right? Like, you know, back in the day a time where a movie like Romancing the Stone could make a profit. Movies are so different. And we started doing, we evolved from a documentary themed podcast, which was more niche. And people probably latched on better to that show, if I'm being honest.
Sure.
But we really didn't just want to talk about documentaries. So we wanted to talk because watching documentaries got us back into film, or the film nerdery that I probably was when you first met me back in the day.
Yes. And I missed it for a bit. And I love that we're back to it.
We're going to movies all the time, even though we're only recording, once every 2 or 3 months. We are still going to the movies and watching movies, but Weapons. Zach Kreger, he was in this skit comedy troupe called The Whitest Kids You Know. And he was in this troupe with this guy named Trevor Moore, who passed away about 5 years ago. And Trevor Moore fell off his balcony of his apartment and passed away. He was this very creative guy.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, we need to have your head. And senators and congressmen, we need all of you dead.
And all the CEOs of all the banks. And TV pundits too, let's show our thanks.
Some of this movie is inspired by him losing his friend, and also the movie Magnolia was a big inspiration here, in which the way the narrations come, it's been a while since I've seen Magnolia, but it has a narration, but the narration doesn't stick.
It's similar in the way that it does the chapters from each person's perspective.
Yeah.
And then it sort of just gets all meshed together. And that is very similar to the way the story of Magnolia is told. I love a story where I get multiple people's perspectives of the same situation.
And also with genuinely flawed characters. When Julia Garner's character goes and meets Alden Ehrenreich's character, the cop, in the bar, and that song Dark Into the Street, which is about committing adultery, is playing. I mean, the movie isn't like, there's an accessibility to the movie. And I know that song. I'm the most familiar with the Graham Parsons version, and it's about infidelity. So I immediately, even before it's revealed, I realize, oh, that cop is cheating on a spouse.
Yes, and they do talk about that because he lies to her and says that he's broken up with his spouse, or they're on a break or something. But I did not know that song, and I do think, I don't know how much of a deep cut that is. I don't know if the majority of people watching that movie would know that song. I feel like they wouldn't. You know a lot about music. I don't know that everyone would recognize that and what it was about, because it is just part of the ambiance. But to me, that says this person's doing it cleverly. That fucking beach song that's about cheating on people, like
Pina Coladas.
Yeah, it's not like the Pina Coladas song came on.
So
you know what I'm saying?
So you think it would have been a little too ham-fisted if the Pina Colada song was
playing?
Yeah,
that would be ham-fisted. This, to me, is more clever, and it's just like setting the mood.
Yeah, it's a different person singing it than Graham Parsons. I can't remember who the version he put on was, but yeah, there's things that you can kind of discover if you know a little bit about things, but nothing is so like apart. Like there is just an accessible balance to this movie, and I think it's lending it to why it's connecting with people so much. It's not like an arty film, it's not, even less so than maybe later Ari Aster movies, but it also is utilizing violence in the way that Ari Aster often does too. These movies tend to be very violent, and only bring up Ari Aster in comparison to Zach Kreger. I'm far from the first person to compare these two, but I'm just curious as to where Zach Kreger's going to go from here, because Ari Aster, he made two very beloved horror movies, and then he made Beau is Afraid and Eddington. And for my taste and my movie-going experience, I think I like Beau and Eddington better than Hereditary and Midsommar. Though I think those movies are very good, but I'm just really into where Ari Aster is going, and I'm just more fascinated. But the downside is that, like, Beau's Afraid and Eddington, they didn't really make their budget. Like, there's a lot of critical buzz around Eddington, and it's a movie that you really think about, but it's just not making money. But I hope I'm just wondering, is Zach Cregger gonna go the Ari Aster route and kind of try to take advantage of his success by letting him make these specific movies that may not be horror? Or, for all I know, he could also just want to make horror. That's fine, too. Either way.
There could be an argument made that all of Ari Aster's movies are still horror movies. We will get into Eddington in a bit.
That makes sense.
I did want to talk about one of the other things I really loved about this movie is that there are hints along the way if you're really paying attention. And there are some that are so subtle that you don't really think about it until after. The basic thing of what happens is,
give the outline of what's going on without, saying the end. People can go check
17 children disappear. And they're all from one classroom. One boy is still there. And the teacher of that class is blamed because she and the boy are the only commonality between all of these children. And so they put her up as though she is a witch. Someone paints that on the side of her car.
Yeah.
There's all these references to witchcraft, and it does end up being part of it for sure. But there's quite a few misdirects. They have in multiple times there's video on televisions in the background. I'm like over in your space when I do this. Televisions in the background that have things about parasites happening. There's also...
It's explaining what's going on as the movie goes.
Yeah.
And as these characters are reacting to this bizarre situation, they are kind of right in what they say. They're just blaming they're just looking in the wrong directions. But at the same time, how could you even imagine something like this happening? So,
and Josh Brolin is amazing at the concerned dad.
Yeah, his character is pretty good.
I liked him a lot.
Apparently, he was a big presence in producing this movie. Julia Garner, Alden Ehrenreich, who played Han Solo in that movie. Austin Abrams, Benedict Wong, and Amy Madigan, who Zach Cregger credits as saving the movie. Essentially, Amy Madigan becomes basically the adversary of the movie, and the way she you can tell she's never played a role like this in her life. She really just. You could just tell she was really into playing this character.
She fucking killed it.
And also, I really like Benedict Wong as well. And I kind of want him to be a guy like that we're seeing as much as we see Pedro Pascal. Because I think he really carries his scenes really well. I think he's a really good actor. And it's really fucking creepy when he becomes affected in this scene and starts to go after people.
That was the first truly scary moment because these kids have all disappeared and everything's eerie, and the narration at the beginning is even a small child talking. Everything's very creepy, but nothing's really happened and you don't know what's going on yet. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes Wong, and he is flying with his arms out, and he looks like a zombie, and he's attacking this teacher. And he was the principal of the school. Also, lovely gay relationship.
So
movies are gay.
I'm trying to movies are gay, and they'll be super gay next week. So come back when we drop Movies Are Gay 3. But I'm trying to think of apparently there was supposed to be an alternate ending, but instead of the ending we got, but I think the ending we got was better, where the forces of how people have become abducted, that those powers are going to be used like in an army of possessed people.
Ugh.
And that sounds really like a clusterfuck. But I mean, and obviously Kreger agreed with that. But it's just interesting that it was going to be like that. That would have been a little overdone. But what happens at the end, and we're not going to describe it, it's very violent, but also extremely cathartic.
So cathartic.
Like, so satisfying in a way that's kind of disturbing.
One of the most satisfying endings to a horror movie that we've seen in a long time.
And genuinely funny as well.
Yes. Terrifying and funny.
Yeah.
Disgusting and horrifying and hilarious.
So
our perfect combination.
So I think in terms of modern horror, like I have to echo how this. So let's give it 1 through 5 each, and I'm a 4.75. Like, I think this movie is super good.
I am also a 4.75. I can't quite give it a 5. That's so fucking close.
Hey, you want to write down our scores so we can put them in later?
Oh yeah, let me get a paper.
Yeah, you get one out of the printer there. You can write on.
We have a printer.
Bragging. Weapons is an S tier. We're starting it off good with an S tier.
High recommend, and good Lord, I don't know what people are doing if we don't see a lot of Gladyses at Halloween this year.
Yeah, or maybe the Benedict Wong look when he's afflicted. So moving on from Weapons, is we did also see the new, kind of not the first restart of the new DC universe, but the movie that's supposed to make the statement about the James Gunn world of Superman. And I think one thing that's incredibly obnoxious about this happens because there's this pointless like tribalism regarding Marvel and DC, and then there's a tribalism regarding the new James Gunn direction and the Zack Snyder direction. The Zack Snyder movies, like, they look good. They got Flash. They don't look bad, you know. Like, who's the guy that played who's the previous Superman? Why am I forgetting
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. Like, I think he looked great. I didn't think he was the problem. I think it was the story and the need to make everything dark with every single superhero project that was obnoxious. You expect that with something like a Batman, but it just felt like everything was just trying to be as moody as Batman, especially coming out of the DCU. And I guess Wonder Woman and Aquaman were a little sunnier, but
Superman should be sunny.
Yeah.
He should be the sunniest.
And that's kind of where I'm going here. And you know, in 80 years of this character's existence, 80 plus years, there's been so many stories told of Superman that you can probably find a story that backs up however way you think Superman should be. But he really is that Boy Scout type, the anti-cynical type, the hopeful type. I don't understand why people don't latch on to that with Superman. It seems like, I mean, I was a comic book guy, and on this episode, we're going to be talking about my 2 favorite superheroes of all time, because we'll be talking about Fantastic Four too. Like, I know people are like, you're one of your favorite superheroes in the Fantastic Four? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have to admit that most people don't give a shit about the Fantastic Four. I think that's just reality, even though the movie did pretty well. But I do love Superman, and I like this idea of this guy who is a god, who gives a shit. Like, he could subjugate everyone and be this superpowered dictator. But the point of Superman is that he's not. Mm-hmm. And in a way, he's actually even beyond human. Like, he's better. He emulates the best of humanity, but he's better than humanity, because you can imagine that any human being with that power would be just extremely dangerous.
We also find out in this movie that he's also better than all the Kryptonians.
Which is a somewhat controversial take, and I think we can talk about it since it's been out for a while.
I kind of thought it was cool.
I kind of didn't mind that either.
I liked it.
And I think it really works to contrast in him having to deal with his legacy and how he presumed it was. And this movie is very busy. And as far as like the overall look of it, it's not like, you know, breaking any barriers, you know. I think maybe Fantastic Four actually looked slightly better overall.
Yes.
I guess it depends on if you like that style, like this weird alt 60s world. But that's but this movie presents a very lived in world. Even to the point of Superman has the dog, Krypto. And there's It's already established that there's superheroes everywhere. And it opens the movie with Superman being defeated for the first time by the Hammer of Baravia. And the issues of Superman and what he wants to do to help the world and what that means. And there's no way this movie isn't pro-Palestine.
Absolutely.
Come on, man. I think even at the end, I swear I saw a green and red and black flag. I think there was in the back. Maybe as my brain was doing it. And I have to admit, a part that helped me like the movie a little more, because the stand-in is just 1-to-1. This kind of Eastern European influenced country that is made up for the movie is oppressing these people that look Arab, or, you know, the reactionary types are mad at Superman because of this obvious thing, of course. But the culture war shit around Superman is so, like, stupid. Conservative commentator, and actually watched this video, Ben Shapiro. You don't have to know who that is. It's okay. He was arguing, he was trashing the movie, and it was so funny because he goes, Lex Luthor makes a lot of sense in this movie. And he's unironically, like, agreeing with the bad guy who's, like, xenophobic.
But can't see that?
It's hard to say that he didn't realize it. I think he just maybe sincerely is like, oh, I take Lex Luthor's side on the Superman thing. Superman is not trying to tell you that Lex Luthor is a good guy.
No.
He just was like, well, actually, because Superman is so woke now, I agree with Lex Luthor. And it's so fucking like all conversations are rigged now in terms of the culture war. And it's so fucking stupid the way people react to this shit. And it really just rigs the whole conversation. But I guess James Gunn this movie is a little woke or a little conscious of world affairs, obviously. So I guess that is if you're a very Zionistic person, that would be a reason for you to not like this movie.
But woke has become a bad word to describe people who are, like, it's too much, like you're trying too hard. You know, it's almost that virtue signaling thing.
Yes.
And it's not woke to just look at a situation honestly and see that something wrong is happening.
The conversation is stupid 99.9% of the time, but it has become this thing that has become bigger than all of us in terms of, like, it's so stupid that you have to contend with the word now, since, you know, with this current administration, there's this feeling that the chuds have won, right? And I'm hoping that this is the peak for chuddery. And I mean, things go in cycles, and, you know, I do think things will get better, but hopefully they don't get too worse before they get better. I don't know. But yeah, it just seems like the chuds are winning. And I think there is a lot of heart in this movie. And this movie stars David Cornsweet, he's Superman, Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. And I thought their rapport was really good. No one's touching Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder in terms of charm. Like, I just don't, I think they set the charm level forever and ever. And I think only maybe the first Spider-Man with Mary Jane even approaches it. And this comes pretty good, but no one's beating Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder for on-screen chemistry.
I agree 1000%. And that's why it's so good that we skip straight to they've been in a relationship for 3 months phase. We don't even try to recreate that. They don't even try in this story. It's established. We know where they all came from. We know where he's from. We know what kind of person she is. Let's go.
I think maybe what confuses people, and some criticism that I see of the movie, is that they don't know all these characters very well. But it's like, the concept is that all you need to know is that it's Superman and it's a world with superheroes. All right? You don't need to know everything about the Guy Gardner Green Lantern. Let this be your introduction to Hawk Girl or Mr. Terrific. I remember when I was a kid, you know, when I pick up my first comic book, I'm picking up X-Men number, like, 213. I don't know what the fuck's going on. This clusterfuck of characters, and I'm just like, Wolverine looks cool, the Archangel looks cool. But it seems like as people got more into it, even the movies and the comics, that they became afraid to just jump in the middle of something or take a chance on something. And I remember as a kid, that was the excitement, like learning, like, what is this? What does this mean? And when you get the context, then suddenly you become a slave to the notion, and you don't want to discover as much, you know? Like
That's sad.
If that makes as much sense, like you want that familiarity of all the characters you learned about, but it's like you forget that like that a part of it was you just discovering all this together. And I think for people who are weirdly confused by the movie are overthinking it completely, even though you could make the argument that the movie's a little overwritten. I mean, I think that is a fair judgment of the movie.
Sure. I would say, though, if you liked this movie, it should not confuse you. It should make you curious. I didn't know about the blonde girl in the office, and I just was curious. I was like, oh, was she created for this, or is she from the comic books? And I wanted to know more. I wasn't like, oh my God, who is this girl? She's not in all the other stories I've ever seen.
That is interesting, though, how this movie will throw in, like, the Cat Grant, who's
I love
the
that.
gossip columnist of the Daily Planet. And she's not a major character, but she's there. And it's not, and I kind of like that it's not explaining every little thing. Of course, Lois and Clark have people they work with in an office. Like,
yeah.
That's all you really need to know, right? But
and she actually was used very well because she asks questions that people don't want to talk about and got us some information very quickly that without a lot of ridiculous exposition. Also, I just have to say, because I know we probably need to move on pretty soon, but this is my favorite Jimmy Olsen of all time. This is the best Jimmy Olsen. Ever. I love this actor. I can never remember his name. The Righteous Gemstones, Santa Clarita Diet. I love this kid.
Yeah. Let me check I forget his name too.
He was in Booksmart.
Skylar Gisondo is his name. I may have missed Skylar Gisondo. Yeah, best Jimmy Olsen, and he's played up very humorously, and that character should be kind of almost a comic relief as well. But also, this movie, which will give it the edge over the next movie we're going to discuss, has Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. He's really good.
Yeah, I love him too. He is someone that, even in a not good movie, I always like him.
Yeah, in the Snyder movies, which you can't help but compare with the Supermans you've seen recently, that one dude, I forget the actor's name.
Jesse
Eisenberg, who had a critically acclaimed movie this past year. They had him play almost kind of wacky, like a madman type of character.
Like a Joker.
And to me, as a nerd, I mean, that's not really Luthor. When Superman is busting into Lex's office, Lex is just stone cold, like unshaken poker face.
Where's the dog?
Dog?
The dog, Luthor! You took the dog!
That's right, you get all of this.
Where's the dog?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
He's just a dog.
I don't know what dog you're talking about. Ugly dog in a cape.
What did you say?
That is kind of how Lex Luthor should be. And also, I think this movie won me over when Superman, like, rescued a squirrel. Like,
yes.
He's rescuing left and right in this movie. And which is, I mean, in Man of Steel, Metropolis gets destroyed. You don't really see people. He won't even rescue his dad from a tornado in one of the dumbest scenes in movie history.
I still haven't seen that movie because I saw that scene unintentionally and I just don't care to watch that movie. The one thing that I don't think we've seen before, maybe it's not original idea, but I hadn't seen it in any kind of movie like this, is the gamification of the fighting scenes. The fact that Luthor was in charge of this hammer guy and he has a whole room of people. Not sure why you need a whole room of people. It's like each computer had like one part of a limb of this machine man.
Yeah.
But he would call out basically, what are they called when you're playing? It's like your combos. He call out combos.
Yeah, he has this being that he can control, and yeah, he calls out. It's like chess moves, and it makes total sense that Luthor, in like presenting the conflict from his end in a safe tower, like giving game-like instructions, like a button combination, how Luthor would actually be better at something like that if he translated it into a physical power, into an extra being that he controls. And when you think about it like that, it's very convincing that this thing would knock the fuck out of Superman and knock his ass up to Antarctica where the Fortress of Solitude is.
It's also extremely smart because our generation is the first generation to play video games well into adulthood. Our parents did not do that. They didn't have it. They didn't tie into it. My mom played.
They held the Nintendo like.
And then if you're gonna jump, it'd be like.
Yes.
My mom would always be like this.
Yes.
And
I miss those days when the parents played Mario.
For sure. But you know what I mean? Like it's relatable where this kind of character in the 80s would not have been. And I guess that was War Games.
And we've alluded to the huge cast of characters. There's other superheroes in here. We got Metamorpho, who's imprisoned in this parallel, and he can chemically create anything. And it was kind of compelling how they measured his tragedy. And then, of course, it's a bright superhero movie in the end, and it's got the James Gunn-ness to it, which is quirk, which I think James Gunn, like, out of everyone's quirk, maybe his isn't so bad, you know? Like, what is the best James Gunn superhero movie? I mean, the first Guardians really does kind of hit still. And I think...
Did Ragnarok?
No, that was Taika Waititi.
Right, that was Taika.
Now, with Taika, either you don't know if you're going to be charmed or if you're going to want to catapult him off the planet. With Taika, you don't know.
That's true.
You have no idea.
James Gunn is fun, though.
James Gunn has a bit of a consistency in that department, and I think he's probably better at that than most everyone else. Yeah, there's some quirk in there, but I kind of like the hopefulness, the lived-in world, and I don't know. I think this movie's kind of fun. Will the success continue for James Gunn? This movie did clear $500 million. It took a little time, maybe a little slower than they thought, but it did clear that. But we'll see how people going forward. There will be a Supergirl movie next year, and I think there will be a Lanterns movie next year, which you'll probably see the Guy Gardner Green Lantern again. But Superman, I also, with most of the movies we're discussing, I cried.
Yeah.
I'm such a crier lately. I cried during Weapons at the end.
Yeah, I did too.
I got teared up like the comeuppance feeling. Mm-hmm. And I cried a little in Superman because of how hopeful it was and how, standing up against injustice and systemic injustice and plus it's, just fun it's what a superhero movie should be. Yeah. And I think it's a solid 4. Just right at 4 for me.
I really did like it. I am going to give it a 3.75.
Okay. That makes sense. So that's a 7.75. I think that's a mighty fine score for Superman. And I also cried at this next movie we talked about, maybe for more obvious reasons, The Fantastic Four: First Steps.
Our star of weapons is also in this film.
Our star of weapons? Oh, right.
The Silver Surfer is a lady, you guys.
Yeah, the Silver Surfer is Julia Garner, who plays Mrs. Gandy in Weapons. Look, I don't care what gender the Silver Surfer is. The Silver Surfer should be bald.
There should never be hair on the Silver Surfer's head. Silver Surfer's not wearing clothes.
Silver
Surfer doesn't have fingernails. Why would Silver Surfer have hair?
Bald looks better than metal hair.
Yes.
Are you the protectors of this world?
Yes, we are.
Your planet is now marked for death. Your world will be consumed by the Devourer. There is nothing you can do to stop him, for he is a universal force, as essential as the stars.
The Fantastic Four: First Steps, directed by Matt Shakman, starring Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Eben Moss-Bachrach, Joseph Quinn, Julia Garner, and more.
This is like the decade of Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, he's everywhere. And I actually have a criticism for the Pedro Pascal. And I'm only thinking of this on how maybe they would think, how the Marvel Studios would think about their characters going forward. And that doesn't have anything to do with that I think he did a bad job in this movie or how he looks compared to the comics. Like, I don't give a fuck about that shit. But it seems like, when Robert Downey Jr. became Iron Man, I mean, he had a award-winning career up to that point, but he was kind of on like a median slope. Like when he became Tony Stark, like he defined that character in such a way where Iron Man went from like a C-tier character that didn't really sell as many comics as the others to like one of the biggest superheroes going now.
Yeah.
And you can credit that to Robert Downey Jr. That's why they're sticking him in a Dr. Doom outfit for this upcoming Avengers Doomsday. If you want to approach that with Mr. Fantastic in particular, you really should pick a different guy because Pedro Pascal is in so many things that it's hard for me to... You maybe could have had more success picking an actor that's been around a while and has like similar to Downey's trajectory where it's kind of up and down and there's just room for him to like rise again because Pedro Pascal is at his peak already and he would have been at his peak even if he hadn't been in this movie.
I am very hopeful, however, for our Sue Storm because I love her and she hasn't gotten critical acclaim yet. She played Josephine in Napoleon.
Oh yeah, you love that movie.
I love that movie. I love this woman. I hope that now we see her take off. I know that Johnny Storm, he's going to be in the new Beatles, 4-movie extravaganza that comes out next year. I can't remember who played the Thing. Who I know is your favorite?
Eben Moss Backrack from The Bear, who's cousin from The Bear.
Right.
He's the voice of the Thing.
And I love him.
And the Thing is is my other favorite superhero because the Thing is essentially the guy who co-created the Fantastic Four, who had the most influence compared to a lot of other superheroes. Is Jack Kirby, the late great Jack Kirby, who created most of these Marvel characters that you see, with some exceptions. But the Thing is essentially Jack Kirby in rock form. And like, I've always kind of liked that down to earth man of the street notion of the Thing, especially in contrast to this very high-minded science fiction that the Fantastic Four can be in. And this Fantastic Four, I believe it has become the most successful Fantastic Four, but maybe people were just kind of curious about it. I still don't know if anyone gives a fuck about I do because I like the history of this shit.
Yeah.
And if you're into the history of these comics and stuff, then the Fantastic Four is pretty essential. It's like the birth of the Marvel Universe through this family. But I understand if most people don't give a fuck about that.
You have shown me Fantastic Four comic books in the past.
I'm sorry I
books.
told you to read all these comic books.
No.
Most of them weren't very good.
You never made me read any comic books. Some of them were very great. Some of them were not.
Some
Sometimes
of
I
them were
stopped
really not.
reading them if I didn't want to read them anymore. But I have always liked Reed Richards. And I love the idea of this family. And even though I know the Thing is his best friend, he might as well be his brother. They are a family unit. And the added drama and, especially in this one because there's a fucking baby in the mix.
Yeah.
It's even more heightened your emotions when these people are not just fighting for the world and justice. They're also fighting for the people they love the most in the world who are standing right next to them and could get killed in this process. It's not like they're going to hide them somewhere and they're going to go fight. Like, they're doing it together.
Now, this is the fourth Fantastic Four movie they've tried.
This is the only one I've seen.
I think they're probably satisfied with this one. Mm-hmm. And it is a pretty good movie, especially for a superhero movie. But there's almost this presumption that up until now, Fantastic Four just didn't work. But those first two Fantastic Four movies from the 2000s, they made money.
Oh, yeah.
But the last one that was weird, that felt like a horror movie for some fucking reason. And the director is, I can't remember off the top of my head who directed that, but they're like, they cut the shit out of that movie. It was not what I wanted it to be. And obviously studios they'll go ahead and rub their dick all over everything and make a good idea shit. The old ones were maybe a little too cartoony, and then the new one the last one was a little too serious. This seems to be a decent balance between the two. And you can tell that the movie was determined to not make stretching look stupid.
Yes.
And they accomplished that by barely making him stretch.
They used it very sparingly.
I mean, Reed's best ability is his brain anyway. And they were also determined to make sure that Johnny Storm wasn't a flat character.
Yes.
They actually made him be kind of an intelligent character, where classically in the comics, he's like the hunk boy. He's like the Ricky Nelson type. That was like the stand-in of the day when that comic was created.
They handled that they handled commenting on that very well, though, because even he was like, I'm not just a pretty face, guys. I can do the fucking math.
And it, you know, the thing that's always weird about the origin of the Fantastic Four, even from the classic comic origins, it's like, yeah, let's throw my kid brother on this rocket while we go into space, you know?
It does make sense that siblings would both be very smart.
In this sense, it makes sense that he is like clever, and he actually learns an alien language to translate. And I think the character who I felt like could have used more love is my favorite guy, the Thing.
I actually think he had a pretty good arc with his falling in love with the woman at the synagogue, played by the fantastically talented
Natasha Lyonne.
I can't believe Natasha Lyonne, I'm sorry, I forgot your name for a second. I love you.
I think she is talented, but she doesn't have range.
No, but in this role, she didn't need it.
I mean, she's a character.
She was just,
in and of herself.
Being a character, she's
beautiful
and sassy.
Actually, her character here is toned down compared to other characters.
That's true, but
she's just a lady at the synagogue that he goes.
But she has that little sparkle in her eye, and she gives him that attention that he needs.
Look, I like her too, but I don't think she was just like this very compelling presence in the movie.
Okay, I just have a crush on her. Okay?
I think that's what we're getting.
I've always had a crush on her since that Suburbs movie. Listen, in this movie, we get the Thing with a beard. I love a beard. I love anyone with a beard.
On a rock band.
And this does not change with the Thing. I love that he has to shave, and I love that he stopped shaving. I love him.
The villain in this movie is Galactus, and it's the classic. I mean, both Superman and Fantastic Four, if you like the comics, you'll be very satisfied. But Galactus looked cool as shit. But let's be honest, especially comparing it to the movie we talked about earlier, as a villain, I mean, the cosmic idea of him is cool, and he looks cool. But as a villain, it's not like he's just like a force of nature. And the drama is centering around the dynamics between the family. That's where the real conflict is.
But it's because I think that they wrote him as a villain as smart as you possibly could. And I don't have as much of the knowledge as you do, but the fact that he comes in and sure, he eats planets. We know that. Okay, great. And yeah, he's just going to eat your planet, so you're just going to die. But the idea that it becomes more about... he's going to steal their child because this child is so important and special that it can take over his burden of being so hungry that he has to eat world.
Let me ask you. You could save an entire planet sacrificing your child. You probably ought to do it. Right?
I think that if you got down to no other options, sure, but they were determined to try everything that they possibly can. I mean, I do agree with you. I get it. But when she comes out, I was mad the whole time too. I was like, I know it sucks, but just give him the baby. But when she made that speech outside to all the people,
did it move you?
It did. I actually did tear up on that one because she was basically like, I don't want to sacrifice my child, just like I don't want to sacrifice any of you. I don't want to lose anyone. It's not that I want to keep my child at the risk of you all dying. If you all die, we die too. I just want to save everyone. And she, in that moment, was the mother of the whole world, and she's brilliant, and I love her.
Yeah. I think all of New York should have just turned on the team and grabbed that kid and carried it. I mean, that's what
Where are they going to take it, Bob?
I mean, obviously that's not going to...
The top of the Empire State Building and just make a big sign that's like, Galactus, come get him.
You wave the Silver Surfer down and have the Silver Surfer come take the baby up.
I like the idea of Johnny falling in love with her a bit. You also get the idea that because he is this hunk, right? But he's in this team. He doesn't have any friends. This team is his only friends. And so this is just a woman who just is a superwoman. And... you know, she's naked. She's got stupid hair, but...
it is kind of a running gag in the comics that whenever they have an adversary that's like a young female, that Johnny will probably fuck her.
It makes sense. That's what happened in real life.
Yeah. So
horny young man.
So the Fantastic Four, I think there is a lot going for this movie. It is the best Fantastic Four movie, though I haven't seen Rise of the Silver Surfer from like 2006 or whatever. But I think this one it's definitely better than the previous one, and there is a lot of heart in this movie as well. Mm-hmm. That's kind of so this is the most complimentary we've probably been of superhero movies like since we started this show, because these two movies are very heartfelt, and I think that helps with it. But I think with my final score on the Fantastic Four, I think I'm a 3.5.
Okay. I am a 4.
Wow, you really liked it.
I'm a 4. I really did.
So you like the Fantastic Four a little better than Superman?
Yes.
That's interesting. I'm reverse of you.
When you said earlier that it came down to the villain, and that's why Superman had the edge for you, it actually was the opposite for me. I really liked the gamification of it, but I didn't understand why we needed also the woman in black. And we had this other thing going on. And I don't know, just too much.
Oh, so now we're back to the crowded characters too much.
It was crowded on the bad guy side.
Yeah, well, he just had a whole office of people.
But also, wouldn't it have been so much hotter if Lex Luthor had just been typing the shit into his little game computer,
like a rigged Game Boy or something?
Yeah, I don't know. It just, the fact that he needed 30 people and they were in some weird floating thing across the city, it just, I don't know. I didn't like that part. Anyway, this one had the edge up for me. That's a 7.5.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's not as highly ranked as Superman, but it is in my heart.
But I think it's worth it.
Yeah,
sure. If you don't have an emotional connection to those characters, and you're really tired of superhero movies, I don't know if these movies will really change your mind there.
It's reinvigorated my care about superhero movies.
But if you don't mind it, and like, we're people that are familiar with the genre, but we aren't always going to glaze it as much as others, because we still watch a lot of other movies and still enjoy multiple types of movies. So, all right, speaking of glazing.
Oh, God.
Now, the movie we referenced earlier that had Pedro Pascal. Oh, I also want to point out that Pedro Pascal was initially cast in Weapons, but because of...
As the dad?
Because
or
of...
boyfriend?
I think he was the Josh Brolin character.
Okay.
But when Josh Brolin came along, he had Marvel commitments, and then Josh Brolin came on and really helped boost the movie.
I'm really glad it was Josh Brolin.
I think it all worked out great for Weapons, but we're now going to talk about... It's not the first COVID movie, because if you look up movies about like the COVID scenario, a lot of indie filmmakers, because they were so bored in their self-isolation during that time, there's a lot of bad movies about people social distancing in their house and having, bland moral conundrums. There's tons of indie movies out there like that. But Eddington, the Ari Aster movie, starring Joaquin Phoenix, Pedro Pascal, Luke Grimes, Michael Ward, Austin Butler, Emma Stone, Deidre O'Connell. This is the first true post-COVID movie. Look, I know COVID is still a thing. I get it. I'm not trying
post-pandemic.
I'm not trying to. I'm just saying I'm not trying to diminish the realities of that. But I mean, we as a society at every level really failed. I mean, essentially, I think the whole country became mentally ill after the COVID crisis. Like, the way things are now, it's like, it seems like we're really crawling out of a pit still in terms of the collective psyche of this country. And that's why this movie this is a movie that I've thought a lot about since I watched it. It's Joaquin Phoenix very amazingly plays this small town sheriff of Eddington, New Mexico, as this town is supposed to be on lockdown and social distancing. And it's very early on because Joaquin Phoenix's character, he's like, there hasn't been a case there yet, and so that's how early on it is. Yeah. And he decides to run for mayor of his little town, and the mayor is already Pedro Pascal, who is supporting the lockdown and the social distancing. Mm-hmm. And we see the frustrations of the sheriff while having to deal with people, trying to enforce these rules or trying to be safe, and how this movie is essentially about how paranoia will, in the long run, destroy you.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of, and there's also this thing which is extremely prescient where they want this data center to move into the city. And there's actually news going on now about towns like having referendums to reject these data centers because especially with AI and a lot of its usage, they require these servers that utilize tons of water, tons of energy. And they pitch these data centers like it's going to employ half the town. But the reality is these data centers don't really require that many people.
Once it's built.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you get a contract to build it and then goodbye.
Yeah, you'll have like, you know, a small medium-sized staff to run the place and then probably people to clean it. But that's like a super small percentage of most any town. So you got people all over the country trying to reject these. And there's even like, I think Elon Musk is putting a data center right by this area in Memphis that is historically like sick from industrial pollution for generations, you know. It's not really a spoiler to say that, you know, the cynical forces of power kind of get their way, but it's all about how that gets there and how these people just kind of go after each other. Joaquin Phoenix's character is quite a hell of a shot, a hell of a sniper.
Yeah.
But this movie is a comedy. It's a dark comedy.
Yeah.
And I love the campaign video that Pedro Pascal's character has. So funny.
When my son and me woke up one morning to find that my wife, his mother, had abandoned us, without a note, without a word, we were devastated. All hope seemed lost, but we had our community to lift us up. We had Eddington. And when I first ran for mayor, it's because I wanted to give back to the town that has given me so much. Since then, we've helped the governor in her mission to start building a 100% clean energy economy. We're working to provide homes to new technologies and create new, reliable, secure jobs. And as we walk towards the next term, I'm ready to continue leading our town and fighting the pandemic and the racial and economic inequities that COVID-19 only made worse. Re-elect Ted Garcia for mayor. We can't go back. We can only go better.
I think even with Joaquin's side, I don't think politically the way he does, but I kind of understand his frustrations at certain points in the movie as well, or his confusion, you know? And he's got this wife who gets very locked in on these paranoid things online, and they live with their mother, and she's also locked in on those.
She's a crazy conspiracy person.
Yeah.
Not crazy, but she gets into the crazy conspiracies.
And Austin Butler is like this kind of guru guy that gets people wrapped up. And I heard someone say once, and I haven't stopped thinking about this, where Austin Butler, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hunk do you think Austin Butler is?
It's like a 9.
So you think, I think he's undeniably a handsome man.
Yeah.
But I heard it described once, and I think I might understand where the person's coming from.
Very curious.
Where Austin Butler is like kind of a dude's idea of a good looking man.
I can see that.
Like he's like I think Austin Butler I think he's a great actor, and I've loved what he's in. Elvis is great. We discussed that movie. He fucking crushes that movie. I was surprised at how much I like that movie. But
he's great in Dune. I've loved him in everything we've seen him in.
But it seems like Austin Butler is a pretty good. I think he would be a good modern standard of masculinity in terms of like a handsome guy who's hunky and is but can also be like that modern male in movies. You know, that modern leading man.
I love the addition of that storyline. This movie is so layered that you've got this big, data center and potentially government conspiracy happening. There's all these, things that people think are being done at a level that we can't see, right? And then you have the country and world going through the pandemic. And then you also have this small town reacting to the Black Lives Matter movement during this movie as well. And then within that, you have the microcosm of this sheriff's office where there is a black man who works there who seemingly is one of the only black people in this town.
Yeah. Even
the kids who are in the street protesting are all white kids. Well, no, there's Pedro Pascal and his son. And
they're
other
like
people.
Latino,
Yes.
and there's indigenous people in the movie as well because it's New Mexico.
Kind of the black guy, kind of put up there, which is a whole thing in and of itself. And then you have these personal relationships between Joaquin and his wife, who he wants to have a baby and she doesn't want to, and we find out later why. And it's this whole fucked situation. But you have the relationship between her and her mom, and her and him, and then how he perceives that is he's like gaslighting himself about their relationship.
It's interesting because in the beginning of the movie, they're gassing each other up.
Yeah.
And when the Austin Butler grifterness comes in, it takes the wife outside of it and it uses that same reactive paranoia and it pits her against the mother and the family. And he like convinces Emma Stone's character that her father he abused her.
Did.
Oh, he did.
Yes,
and
because
so,
they blamed it on Pedro Pascal, and he did not do it.
And the mother, who is in denial of that kind of scenario, as people might know, would have a parent that would be in denial if you've been in a abusive scenario like that. Suddenly, that thing that they were all whipping each other up in is now like they're going at each other.
Yeah.
And he already had a conflict with his mother-in-law, even though they are panic about a lot of the similar things.
Living there made their life difficult.
It's turning on each other.
Well, and that was the thing. At the end of this movie, the only people who are happy are Emma Stone and Austin Butler. And the thing that was so appealing to her about him is he told her, you are enough and you can be honest about what happened to you. Because all her life, she's been told she had to lie. And then she can't even be honest with her husband as to why she is so confused and doesn't want to have sex with him and doesn't want to have a child with him because he was her father's protege and her father sexually abused her.
And I think I forget the kid's name this is a big cast.
There's a lot of people, yeah.
But there's a kid who's got a crush on a girl.
Oh, yeah.
And he's joining in all these BLM, very liberal group protests.
Because she's the hot activist girl in town.
He's into her.
Yeah.
And you get that he feels sincere and you see him arguing the Black Lives Matter position. And by the end of the movie, he realizes after he survives this very violent event that occurs into the town, like he realizes that he could actually make more of a presence in being a right-wing grifter. And he's talking to Marjorie Taylor Greene on a podcast. It's like, as the movie's winding down, we see where these characters have gone, and some characters that have survived horrific things. And I won't reveal what happens to Joaquin, our lead in this movie, but it is, if you're familiar with Ari Aster movies, it wouldn't surprise you. This is a dark comedy. I mean, when the violence was really turned up and the big gunfights were going on, I remember you asked me, like, a lot of people were laughing in the theater, and you said to me that you weren't sure why people were laughing. And I'm not questioning that. I think that's just an interesting. I felt like you took that. I mean, it's a very serious thing. It's a very violent sequence.
Yeah. I was affected by it in a different way. I understand. And once we talked about it, I understood it even more. And having some distance from it makes sense. But in that moment, I was just so tied up into like the horror part of what was going on that I was kind of missing out on the dark comedy part as much. Not before that point in the movie, but something about because it was very violent. And I get that it was like over violent.
Yeah.
It was to the extreme violent. But as soon as I would think like, oh, this is crazy, then something else awful would happen. And that's the brilliant Ari Aster, because he's going to continue to surprise you even when you think you figured it out.
I think if we did a review of this movie right after we watched it, I'd probably be around a 4. Because I remember when the violence sequence went on, like, I think it was stupid. I maybe overthought it. Like, I was confused as to who the group was, because they're presented as Antifa. But no, the military group was sent, of course, by the people who are trying to put the server center in the town. And I didn't realize that at first. I kind of had to really think it over.
And to me, that's just a little bit of too much story going on, because it should have at least been like a maybe in your head. Because you told me that after, I was like, oh, okay. But I didn't think about it at all either. And so it came back around to it, but it still didn't like...
But
connect.
I feel like I should have made that sense.
I don't know.
Because obviously that is the force that wins in the end. It did tell you. I just kind of got like a little lost in it a little bit.
Sure.
But then I kind of thought more and more about it. And I remember when I first saw the violent sequence, I thought maybe it was like a little much. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. When I keep thinking about this movie, like there is something just so interesting about this movie. And the way it's talking about COVID, this really is the first of a post-pandemic movie that isn't some navel-gazing a couple is isolating at home kind of movie. Mm-hmm. This is like a true like examination of that. And I'm wondering if that's going to start popping up more, like, because it's such a distinct point in this world's history. Like I said, I think we all got a little more mentally ill from it. Like, it's just, I understand like where people want some distance from it, but now we're getting to that point. It's like, can we talk about all the crazy shit from that time, you know?
No, for sure. I think a lot of people did get more mentally ill. It's not that they got more mentally ill.
Not literally.
No, I know, but this movie does represent a couple different things that happened to people during that time, right? So yes, the people who not necessarily more mentally ill, but dealt with the fact that they had mental health issues. I, for the first time in my life, got on medication to help with my mental health issues. And it wasn't until COVID when I had to really like deal with myself and it got to an extreme situation that I did. There's also people that we know and across the board who have become more of their real self during that time because they did look inward and said, oh, I'm not living the life that I need to live, that I want to live. And why haven't I been? And then there are people who died or came out of it and are still sick. Right? And that's you might have survived it, but your life could now be miserable because of it.
Long COVID brain fog's a real thing.
Yes.
And, you know, essentially, it's not technically asthma, but a lot of people do have like more lung issues since that have gone through that. And we're actually pretty lucky, but we did the best we could during that time. Yeah. But yeah, this movie I think is kind of amazing. I think this is a movie that kind of deserves to be picked apart a lot, and it is genuinely a very funny movie, but also very dark and violent. You got to keep that in mind too. Ari Aster, and you mentioned that there's always a little horror element in his movies, for sure.
Yeah,
there are things that you can interpret as being very scary or like thrillery, you know.
And I think that's what's so cool about what he's doing. And even in Midsommar, there was not a supernatural aspect to that movie.
Yeah.
You know, he even in a Hereditary, I almost said Heretic, foreshadow.
Yeah.
But in Hereditary, that one did have a supernatural element, but Midsommar did not. And then Beau is Afraid had a fantastical element. And this one was the most grounded in reality, but also... yeah, really pointing out yes, just as insane. And that is what is part of the brilliant point. I will also say, I did not know at all what this movie was about. I only knew that it was Ari Aster, and from the poster, it truly looked like a Western. I didn't know what I was getting into.
It is. It's a modern COVID Western.
Yeah. I will say that if I hadn't known, or if I had known what it was about, I might have been a little leery of it. When I realized what it was about, I just kind of like settled in my seat to be like, I'm just like... where are we going? I had no idea. If you are someone who's like, I don't want to watch a thing about COVID, but you like this director or you're interested at all in what we're saying, I think it is so worth watching. And as best you can, just open mind, go into it and really pay attention.
If you like Ari Aster, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm going to give the score of this movie, I'm going to match the Weapon score, 4.75. I think this movie is so fucking good, and I it's one I want to revisit along with Beau is Afraid, because I think Ari Aster is really like where he's going with his career. I know this movie, it did not make a lot of money. Like I think this box office is only around half of the budget, which really is unfortunate because this is good stuff that is saying things in an interesting way. He's sold a ticket, like him and Zach Kreger. I hear them doing something.
Anything will go.
Ticket sold.
Absolutely.
For me, personally.
Absolutely.
So 4.75 for me.
I'm a 4.25 on this one.
Wow. So,
This is my highest one so far.
it's a 9.
Yeah.
Is that a 9?
Well, no, yeah.
Eddington, 9. So, yeah, we had a good time at the movies, all right? And
Guys, we like movies.
we had a good time at the movies, and no exception for the next movie we're going to discuss. The Naked Gun, the 2025 film that was directed by Akiva Schaffer, who was a part of the Lonely Island comedy troupe. Also produced in part by Seth MacFarlane. I think as far as like him tightening the vision on this and everything with the director, I thought they did a really good job. Like, I can't remember. I mean, I'll just go ahead and say that I can't remember what I gave the original Naked Gun movie. I do like that movie a lot. I think I went a 4.25 if I'm
You
not
went
mistaken.
higher than me for sure.
I'm giving the exact same score because I think this movie is just as funny as the classic ones. And my only complaint is that it could have really went harder in on the lampooning the psychotic tech guy aspect of it.
Yes.
But, but again, I'm not surprised that it didn't go hard in that direction. This stars Liam Neeson, who's the son of Leslie Nielsen, as well as Pamela Anderson, Paul Walter Hauser, Danny Houston, Kevin Durand. The wrestler Cody Rhodes makes an appearance. And Paul Walter Hauser, he's another guy. He's like that big guy. He's a really good actor too, and he's into wrestling. We saw
him in the Fantastic Four.
He's the Mole Man.
Who was adorable and sweet in that movie.
The Mole Man in the Fantastic Four movie, he's literally wearing the glasses from the comics, but he's just wearing like a flannel shirt.
Yeah, and he's friends with Sue Storm, and I love that. I just love that he hates Reed Richards, but he loves Sue Storm.
Now, with The Naked Gun, I decided before we went to go see the movie that I had these mushrooms that were like over a year old.
Yeah.
And I was like, I might as well just be done with these and see how they do. Because I saw like if these worked, it was going to be like a cheat code for the movie.
Yeah.
But I kind of peeked in the movie. And I think the thing about doing mushrooms is that like, I think the mushrooms really, the experience really shifts when you shift your environment a little bit. Because I think the movie was really funny, but I could stand to watch it again because I was on shrooms and a lot of jokes probably went right by me.
Sure.
I mean, it's easy you automatically know what this movie is, I think Pam Anderson did really good in the movie as well. And apparently her and Liam Neeson are an item now.
They are an item. They are in love, and I'm so happy for them, and they're beautiful together, and they look so happy. I loved her in this. I loved that she got legit jokes. She was hilarious. And the scene in the nightclub where she is scatting is fucking brilliant.
Yeah. This movie
thought she was great. They used her to her best ability, and she's shown in this. The two of them together were great. It was just really funny. However, the biggest, hardest laugh for me happened in the first 5 minutes. And it never quite got to that level for me again. There were funny moments for sure. But that scene in the bank that we open up with, I thought I was going to pee my pants. I was laughing so hard. So I did enjoy it a lot. I enjoyed it way more than the old Naked Gun, I guess. Way less poop humor.
Angela is
I don't like fart humor.
It's a real cackler. Like she's even underselling how much she was laughing at this movie. Like she's like like you can hear her in the back when she goes to a comedy show. You can hear her in the audience.
I quite often get spoken to.
And so yeah, but the movie's very funny. You know what to expect. I highly recommend it. But I think I'm going to rewatch it again because I was on mushrooms, and it did help a little. But I don't think I needed the mushrooms to enjoy the movie.
No.
It was still a funny movie.
So you goofed.
I had more time in the car after, more fun on the shrooms in the car after listening to the George Harrison's All Things Must Pass double album.
Yes.
Which we were inspired to listen to because the song Beware of Darkness is in the intro of Weapons. So I was just thinking about that song, and then I'm on mushrooms just being like, this George Harrison record is one of the greatest records of all time. And we're like, you're eating ice cream and shit. I don't know.
I was just driving you around.
I had a good time on it. I guess they worked. Even after all of the... After like a year, I was surprised that they worked. But I don't have any more officers. I consumed them all. They're long gone. They're pooped out of my system. All right? You got nothing on me, pal. All right? It's legal in like a few states. Anyway, The Naked Gun, I'm pretty sure I gave the original a 4.25. I'm going to match it.
I'm going to give this one, I did have a lot of fun, but I'm going to give it a 3.25.
Cool.
So that is a
7.5.
Wow. Okay.
Look, these movies are good. We got some good movies going on here. We had good time at the theater this year.
Don't get sad, guys, but we only have one more movie to talk about.
2 more, liar.
Two more?
You fucking liar.
You guys, there's been a lot of movies. I forgot one, I guess.
Now, a movie that came out late last year, we've been meaning to get through a bit because it is Hugh Grant playing a murder creep. And that's all we knew about it.
That's all we needed to
know. But that kind of sold us a
ticket.
ticket. And we're talking about the movie Heretic. It's directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods and starring Hugh Grant, Sophie Thatcher, and Chloe East. But Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East, who play the Mormon missionary girls that go to this house and end up in a crazy, weird theological debate situation with a creep, they are ex-Mormons. Both of them are ex-Mormons.
Oh, truly they are?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's great. Which is which?
Sophie Thatcher was the dark-headed girl who was argued a little.
I was really captivated by the other girl, though, because her character was so specific and neurotic, but then surprised me sometimes in the way that she acted. She was childlike in like a naive, although I am an adult way.
It is. I'm glad you brought that up because when I was sitting through that movie, I was thinking about these two girls, and I think the movie itself kind of agreed on who the main girls should be by the end.
Oh yeah.
But you know, Sophie Thatcher. Not saying she did a bad job, but I was thinking like, which one of these two girls is the better actor? And I mean, there's no need to pit these girls against each other. I'm sure. I felt like Sophie Thatcher, the way her mannerisms were and the way she played her character, felt a little bit like I felt like I've seen that out of a lot of young actors before, but Chloe East played a much more character driven role and you know in her emotions than Sophie Thatcher did.
I think it was a bit of a redirect, and I agree with you completely because her performance immediately, the way she was acting, Sophie Thatcher, reminded me of Anya Taylor-Joy in Split.
I mean, she
it was
does
that
kinda
same
look like
exact
her.
thing. Kind of looks like her, but also doing the whole thing of like, there's a knife on the floor. Look at over, you know, like trying to like plan and scheme. Where the other girl, what was so brilliant about her is obviously she's an intelligent person, but she has zero street smarts.
Moroni.
I, who showed him where he could locate some golden plates near his home. His mysterious translation of those plates form the basis of this.
Wow. No, you read more than we do. No, seriously, we should be more like you, Mr. Reed. Mr. Reed.
And there's this point where looks completely comfortable on this guy's couch until she realizes that she shouldn't be. And then she's freaking out even harder. And it's just so much more relatable and realistic.
Yeah. I will say that as good as I thought Chloe East was in this movie, near the climax, I felt like the performance went a little weird.
I think the whole movie went a little weird near the climax for me, honestly.
It's hard to not be... I mean, this is the idea of the movie. There is going to be some contrivances regarding it. I think it's hard to avoid because it's dealing with religion and what drives religion and the core of religion and the core of faith. And so Hugh Grant, is great in this movie. I thought he was really good.
I loved him.
And you notice that Hugh Grant would do these things, and it almost seems like a stereotype, but I'm trying to remember other roles he's in where he would make some claim like he's explaining how Monopoly is actually a derivative game off of something that this labor leader created. And when he would say something that he thought was like crazy, he'd be like he'd like waggle his head like, yeah. Like, is that a Hugh Grant-ism? Because he did it a lot in this movie.
I don't think so, because the thing that's different about this role, maybe I'm forgetting something. I haven't seen everything he's done, but the thing that for me was so different about him in this role is that he was playing someone who is trying to gain their trust, but also is being very performative.
Yeah.
And so it's almost that thing of like, I am going to tell you all of these facts, but we don't have to be so serious. Like it's the disarming. It's disarming them. And that's what is so disarming about his performance in this.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. I think there might be another one of these planned.
Wouldn't be surprised. These horrors seem to do okay.
I'm down. Any horror movie you want to put him in. I've loved him for a long time.
Well, maybe as a well, I don't want to give away I don't really want to give away the end of this, but
No.
Also, if you're like, where's Topher Grace been?
Oh God.
Where's Topher Grace been? Go Topher heads. Go see Heretic. I think it's on HBO. I think
Anyone could have played that role.
That's true.
It didn't fucking matter.
That's true.
But one thing I do love about this movie, and again, I know we're not going to get into all of the giving away things, but he is talking about things that, you know, we've had conversations about before. It's very, if you start studying religions, it's, you do see the commonalities between those. And he's trying to make a point to these girls. And he's talking about things being copied over time. You know, songs that steal the drum beat from another song.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like the Monopoly game was originally called something else. And then it became this other thing. And just like
he sings Radiohead's Creep.
Yes.
Because it was derivative of another song by the Holly, like something about the.
And he's playing that one over and over again.
Yeah.
I love that aspect too. There's the creepiness of a record stopping and then immediately starting over the same song. But the thing about the end, I just don't think it was done as well as I would have liked it to be. It didn't like really hit the nail on the head, but I did like where the ending went because ultimately what he did was convince her of something.
Somebody got some nails to the head at the end of the movie.
Well, whoa, yeah. But what he did do is he made his point to the nth degree. He made someone believe something that he had already convinced them was not true, and then fucking blew their mind again.
Yeah, yeah. But now, I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you this because and I think it was pretty obvious what the real answer was. But what was she dead?
No. Oh, yes.
You think she did come back?
No, I think I think someone died.
You think she died and came back?
No, I don't think she came back. I think she was just replaced.
She was just fucked up and then came back in the climax to no.
That girl.
I'm talking about Sophie Thatcher.
Sorry, I thought you meant the no, she was not dead. She was not dead.
I don't think so either, but I kind of wish the movie took that leap.
No, it can't because then it's going against the entire point of the movie.
We're being very vague and kind of be very confused as to what we're saying.
But even if you think about just religion and if you're trying to prove that like these are just stories over and over again that people in this world have used to soothe themselves in times of confusion, and it just repeats and repeats and repeats, and then it's gonna try to put in front of you a miracle. That cannot be real in this movie because then that contradicts every point you've tried to make up until this.
I think that would be kind of the point of like it just this fantastical thing. Like if there would be a sequel and say that character did come back from the dead.
Disagree.
That the sequel would have a whole different life about like occultism or whatever. But you're right.
No, because then it's real and it
would have
made
made
real.
It would have made Hugh Grant not really right because he didn't really think that. Maybe y'all should just check out Heretic.
Watch Heretic.
And look for yourself.
Let us know what you think. I think the ending was just not done well, but I like the point that was made at the end.
It's so common, though, with these horror movies, even when they're pretty good, like, it's about 50-50 on that ending with so many of these movies like this. But I still think it was a very worthy... I'm glad I watched it, and it did deliver in creepy Hugh Grant, which was what pulled us in, so...
Loved him. I would not be mad if you went into the whole like aviator glasses and sweater phase at some point in our lives.
What? You mean sunglasses?
No, he had they're not those, what are those called? They're aviators glasses.
Hun, I wore those glasses when I was like 5 years old. They're not coming back. I already went through. I went through that style.
It's cool.
I went through that style with the cheap frames that we could afford. back in like picture day in the third
bar
grade.
across the top where you kind of look like a serial killer.
Yeah, I looked like a little Jeffrey Dahmer, and truly.
Maybe that's cool.
Although Jeffrey Dahmer was kind of a good looking guy.
Yeah.
It's too bad he was so mentally ill. But I think with Heretic, I think I'm giving it a 3.25.
I'm going to give it a 3.5.
So that is a
I think it was really
6.75 for Heretic.
We disagreed.
Now, one movie we saw released in our local Barrel Court, we see movies
Barrel
from
Court?
Bell Court. We see movies released from throughout time. And we watched the movie Police Story from 1985, directed by Jackie Chan.
I had never seen a movie with Jackie Chan that was not in English. You know, like released here, like the Rumble in the Bronx was probably my first Jackie Chan.
Or the one with Chris Tucker, Rush Hour.
Yes, Rush Hour. Saw all of those, right? And I know that Jackie Chan is extremely talented. I know that he's very athletic. I've always known that he did his own stunts. But this movie blew my fucking mind. I had no idea the level of not only stunts that they're doing, but even to the point of building entire cities to drive. Okay, go ahead and introduce the movie. I just wanted to say, I did not know that I would love this as much as I do, and now I want to watch movies like this all the time.
You know, I've been wanting to get it back into the martial arts movies because I loved them when I was a kid, but this is the first time I saw this movie, and it's a movie I've heard about over the years, like that this needs to be in the martial arts repertoire if you're going to be getting into those kind of movies.
Crazy.
But Jackie Chan isn't like Bruce Lee, right? Like, he's like Bruce Lee plus. He's like Buster Keaton and Bruce Lee combined. And like, I think Jackie Chan could probably do a lot of what Bruce Lee did, but Bruce Lee couldn't. I don't think he could do a lot of what Jackie Chan was fucking doing in this movie. And it's just a pure action stunt extravaganza. And you think like, and you're watching people like we watch wrestling and we see people taking what they call bumps and how they fall and they do right. We're watching people fall off of buildings and like land flat on their back, like for like a story's worth of distance here.
Busting through glass, landing on an escalator. Like, any regular person would die.
Like, a lot of people who worked on these Hong Kong action movies at this time, their bodies have to be completely broken, including Jackie's. I mean, obviously, he can't go as hard. He couldn't go as hard in the 90s, by the late 90s, for good reason as he could by the mid 80s.
So then it became more of leaning on his charisma and the funny stuff. But they show during the end of this movie, during the
outtakes and stuff.
The outtakes. They not only show though the bloopers and stuff, which I think is even common in the American releases of these Jackie Chan movies. But what this movie did that I was not expecting was showing when people got hurt.
Yeah, people were getting seriously hurt.
We're showing that, no, we didn't just do this. Like, this guy also had to go to the hospital.
One could presume some kind of a movie magic that's there. And people who do this with wrestling who aren't really watch it enough, like they approach wrestling like it's trying to trick them or something, when we're all smart enough to know that it's like a work, but there's a physicality to it that is very dangerous and can hurt,
and real,
especially over a long period of time. So you can be forgiven to watch this movie and see how well these sequences are done, to think like, that's so amazing that they managed to do all this without anyone really getting hurt. No, people got really fucking hurt. Like, and just the matter of timing in these, like in the beginning, there's cars going through these shanty town they built, and you see actors like they don't see the car coming. That has to be signaled to them, and they're barely getting out of the way while the car is barreling down a hill, going through these buildings, and he's fighting, jumping through cars and shit. The car fight, the action scenes where he's just going in and out of the car and fighting.
And opening doors and closing doors. Favorite. And it's insane, yeah.
And then you got the big mall fight at the end where and they showed him go down that pole like so many times. From
every direction that you could, because
he goes down a pole and rips down all these like string lights that's going all the way down. And this movie, sitting through this movie, by the time it was all done, I felt completely exhausted.
Yeah.
And I felt kind of pretty exhausted, like 3/4 through the movie, because this movie was almost like like when you had a really good conversation for a really long time, and then this happens to me where I'll be in a conversation and then it's like I become overwhelmed and like my brain like shuts down. I felt that through this movie. Like there's just so much like quality, amazing shit here that at parts I felt like when we weren't deep in the action, I was kind of shutting down a little bit between scenes.
There were moments where I would realize that my mouth was just hanging open.
Yeah.
I truly did not understand the level to which, like, what was going on in these films.
And we're watching this at the theaters.
Yeah.
Everything we're discussing, we went to the movie theaters to discuss.
Except Heretic.
Oh, right. Except Heretic. And when certain stunts would happen or people would take falls, you heard people in the audience be like, oh. And it's such a great experience watching this particular movie with a lot of other people.
That stuff, and then also the jokes. This is a funny movie.
Yeah.
It's fun and funny and so ridiculous. Like, so ridiculous. There's this part where Jackie Chan is pretending to fight with his partner who has passed out, and he is biting his partner's face mask and pretending to fight him and flailing him all around. There is some of the most ridiculous things, but at the same time, the amount of strength and skill that it takes to do this stuff. He makes things look easy that shouldn't be easy for literally anyone that is alive. He is the closest to a superhero. And I'm glad that you said Buster Keaton, because I thought of him too. We talked about this after the movie. I can't really think of anyone else who goes into that group. It's Buster Keaton and Jackie Chan, and I don't know who else.
There's no one like those guys.
They have it in their head and they do it.
It's going to be a lost art. And I even like now, if you approach, I don't know what the Hong Kong film scene is nowadays. Like, I'm not an expert on that scene, but I am intrigued by it. That I'm not sure if they're going as hard like this. And you kind of can't blame people for being like, we really can't go that hard. Like, people got way too hurt. It just seems like such a specific thing. It almost seems like a throwback, and you wouldn't be surprised if you never got anything like a Jackie Chan ever again.
Yeah.
Like, truly, as far as movie stars, international stars go, like, just in the specificity of what he does and accomplishes, he is one of he's one of the greatest movie stars of all time.
Absolutely. It really shines a light on how big of a deal it is, how much he does. It's so packed with stunts. We make such a big deal when someone does their own stunts. For so long, everybody was like, oh, well, Tom Cruise does his own stunts. And I have told everyone who will listen to me that Mikey Madison did her own stunts in Anora because...
Stripping?
Well, not the stripping. Well, yes, the stripping. She learned how to dance. She learned all that shit. None of that. But even like
going through the table,
the fight scenes, she did it all herself. And that does impress me. Anyway, Jackie Chan's a god.
Yeah, man. Totally. And I think...
He's the closest thing we have to a superhero.
I think Police Story's a 5.
I do too. It's a fucking S tier, dude.
Police Story has to be an S tier.
It's a 10.
Go watch this movie. You're not going to see anything like it ever. And I'm so glad I finally got to see it in a movie theater with people, because that is really the experience. And thank goodness for our local Belcourt here in Nashville, Tennessee, that we have the opportunity to go see these movies that you probably wouldn't have been able to see in the theaters at the time.
Do you want to do a little shout out to this drawing behind you, since we're talking about the Belcourt?
Oh, they had a Robert Altman. I mean, it's a little glary, you can't see it, but they had a Robert Altman month, and they had a local cartoonist like draw up stuff relating to the Altman movies. So there's there's images of Altman in the middle, and then you got like California Split, Nashville, Brewster McCloud, like, and The Player. I love The Player. OC and Stiggs. Like, we like some Robert Altman, but yeah, we got this cool poster. It was only $15 for this print. It's a nice print too. So.
Yeah, we like it.
So you'll see that every month or two when we drop recordings. After Movies Are Gay 3 next week, we are grinding Halloween movies. So we're still doing Halloween Humpfest 3. It'll be in a slightly different format, similar to what you're getting right now, but it will be just as much movies. So
as we always done,
maybe even
for
a little
Halloween
more.
Humpfest, not like right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be like 20-something movies.
But that does it for this in theaters edition, catching up with all the stuff we've seen at the movies, all the new movies we've seen. And come back next week. Our Movies Are Gay 3. We're sorry we didn't drop it in June when it was more appropriate, but I was still determined to do it, so better late than never.
And as we always say, movies are gay always.
And you're gay.
I would like to end on support your local indie movie theater.
Yeah, if you got one, definitely you want to support it.
Go to the movies.
All right.
We love you guys.
Thank you for watching The Projectors. Click the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. We are available on YouTube and podcast. You can also support the show by liking, leaving comments, reviewing, sharing, and never questioning Bob when he claims that certain characters in movies are like autism. We love you. Goodbye.
It's time for guillotines. It's time to raise the voice. It's time to sharpen blades. We just can't take this anymore. It's nothing personal. We gave your way a try. We're sorry, but you at the top all have to die.